What's up everyone, my name is Player Zero and this video is the entire recap of my first official Harcore Nuzlocke. For those who don't know what a Nuzlocke is, let me simplify it. You can only catch one Pokemon per route. If your Pokemon faints, it dies. If you wipe, you lose the run and must start over. And you must nickname your Pokemon. But there is a higher difficulty setting for the more masochistic members of this sadistic society. This is called a Harcore Nuzlocke. All the same rules apply as regular Nuzlocke, except there's a few more rules applied now, such as cannot overlevel. If your Pokemon's level is higher than the gym leader's ace, it must be boxed. So that Ivysaur you work so hard to get must be sent to cyberspace until you beat the gym leader. Must play on set mode. Normally on switch mode, the AI prompts you the choice to switch Pokemon, allowing you to play more optimally. But with set mode, you don't get a choice. You're stuck with whatever the trainer brings in next and you risk your Pokemon taking a hit while switching in. Can't use items in battle, so no sturdy stalling with healing items, no X attacks, no X defense, no nothing. Held items are okay though. And for personal touch, I added no Mega Evolutions for myself. With all this in mind, I wanted to pick a game that would be an easy transition into the professional Nuzlocke League. So I decided to choose Omega Ruby. I love the whole region, so starting here made the most sense. So without further ado, let's see how I did. While Professor Birch was being mauled by a level 3 Poochyena, I decided I wanted to pick a starter that would make for the smoothest run possible. So without question, I chose Mudkip. Very little threatens Swampert throughout the game, only your rival and a handful of trainers actually have grass types. After saving Birch, I named the Mudkip Danny after the suggestion from chat. We proceed to Route 103 and proceed to curb stomp the crap out of our rival. After bragging about it to Birch, we get our Pokeballs and we can finally start our journey. On Route 101, we catch a Poochyena and we name Ash. Really not the best start, but we can try to work with this. On Route 103, we catch a Zigzagoon we name Prickly. Not much else here, moving on. After stopping all the trainers on Route 102, we failed to catch our encounter. And then we have to move on to Petalburg City, where we escort Wally to catch a Ralts.
You get a Ralts right off the bat. I'm jealous.
Beginner's luck. On Route 104, we catch a Wurmple we name Annoyance after failing to catch it 3 times.
It's okay.
There was only one way to determine whether or not this was going to stay on the team, whether it evolved into a Silcoon or a Cascoon. But for now, we defeat the rest of the trainers on the route and move on to Petalburg Forest. There we finally catch a Taillow we name Sam and run into a Magma Grunt bullying a scientist looking for a Shroomish. After disposing of him, he thanks us and gives us the XP share, and we defeat all the trainers on top of Route 104. After arriving in Rustboro City, we bolt to Route 116 where we find a Skitty. Again, not the best, but we can work with it. I take time to EV train the entire team. Ash, Sam, Lucky, and Prickly are all trained in attack and speed, while Danny is trained in attack and defense, and Annoyance, who is now a Dustox, in HP and defense. Can I just add that being able to EV train literally almost at the beginning of the game is a bit broken? Like in X and Y, you can EV train even before the first rival fight at the beginning of the game. Makes the game way too easy in the beginning if you know what you're doing. But since I'm not using mechas, so whatever. We eventually arrive at the Rustboro gym, and after mowing down the trainers inside and defeating the rest of the trainers on Route 116, it's time to face Roxanne.
Okay, probably gonna have Sturdy. And then she'll use a potion that will not heal it up to full, so goodbye. You'll see, I'm not hitting you physically. She gonna heal? Nope. Alright, GG. We just beat Roxanne.
We defeat Roxanne and earn us our first badge. After we walk out of the gym, we see a Magna Grunt run past us towards Route 116. Apparently the same grunt we defeated took the same researcher's goods and stole a man's Pico. We mop the floor with him, and afterwards, Danny then evolves into Marshtop and we return the man's Wingull. After returning the goods to the researcher, we are rewarded with being forced to deliver a letter to the president's son, Steven. Dude, you have a phone, just text him or something. After arriving in Dewford, I catch a Geodude I appropriately name The Rock. We swept Brawley's entire gym and then defeated him with a Guts-powered wing attack Sam. If you don't know, Guts increases the attack stat of a Pokemon by 50% rounded down. So this made Sam's attack stat during Brawley's fight 55 instead of 37.
Oh yeah, it's easily. This should do over half. Oh no, it'll one-hit KO. No damage sweep, technically. No hit sweep, at least.
In Dewford, we catch a Magikarp we name Andre, and on Route 106, we catch a Tentacle we name Pedro. After we deliver the letter to Steven, we move on to Slateport where we completely run through all the trainers on the beach and the tiny shack. We deliver the goods to Stern and then are interrupted by a couple of magma grunts who we easily wipe the floor with. We then meet Maxie and he warns us not to get in his way and then leaves. After that fiasco, we head to Route 110 where we catch a Gulpin we name Flubber. While battling some twins, Prickly the Zigzagoon got double teamed swifted and ended up going down.
Prickly's... Well, that was my bad. I thought we could get through that.
Not the worst loss, but we pay our respects, slap Flubber on the team, and move on. After fighting our way through the Trickster's house and grinding on the trainers, we take on our rival. He leads off with Slugma and we put it to sleep and defeat it with Lucky. Next is his Whalmer and we get trapped by Whirlpool and unfortunately Lucky goes down, but puts Whalmer to sleep, our second loss of this episode. Ash comes in to get a howl in before taking too much damage from Water Gun. We switch to Annoyance and poison the Whalmer and chip away at it with confusion and poison damage. Next is his Grovyle, and honestly there wasn't much it could do that Moonlight couldn't heal and we take it down with confusion and good confusion luck. Not too long later, while battling a Psychic Trainer, Ash gets hit by a Hidden Power bug or fighting and is totally destroyed by Abra.
Don't tell me it's super effective.
Our third death this episode. After arriving in Malville City, we head to Route 117 where we run into a Roselia, which will definitely be nice if we could get a Rosade. Oh wait, we can. While battling trainers, Annoyance learns Venoshock. It's a decent hitting move even with its poor special attack. We then teach Wally a lesson about superiority, and after the battle his uncle gives us Rock Smash. We enter Watson's gym and we go through all his trainers with the rock like it's nothing. Then, I make a prediction.
I wonder if I can beat Watson with a Geodude.
We start the gym battle and we take the opportunity to defense curl and rock polish on the Magnemite thanks to its inability to do anything to us. And even 6 levels below, we mow through Watson's entire team with Magnitude.
That's good stuff right there.
With that, we got our third badge and the TM Volt Switch.
Volt Switch is a good move.
Off screen, I EV trained the Rock in attack and defense, Rose in special attack and speed, and Flubber in HP and half defense and half special defense. We head to the bike shop and pick up the Acro Bike. On Route 111, we have no trouble handling the Windstraits family or any of the trainers. May gives us the HM Strength, and we catch a Numo we name Camilla. In Fiery Path, we catch a Slugma we name Maggie, and after sitting through the Seeger Baseman's rant, we catch a Skarmory on Route 113 we name Baker. And after battling a Ninja Kid, the Rock evolves into Graveler. We reach Fall Arbor Town, and we are forced to speak to the scientist's wife, and we are tasked with rescuing him from Team Magma. On Route 114, I guess I completely forgot to get an encounter here. I mow down all the trainers on the route and enter Meteor Falls and catch a Zubat we name Batwoman. We get into a battle with a grunt and admin Tabitha and right off the bat, coughing off itself, realizing it is completely outmatched. The Mighty Anna confuses the Rock with Swagger and he hits himself but then takes down Mighty Anna with Smackdown.
You should know your role and shut your mouth!
Out next is Numel, and after hitting himself again, I switch out to Danny and Whammer takes down the Numel with a couple of water pulses. After the battle, Daddy Archie shows up and talks smack to Tabitha, and then they steal the meteorite and run off. After we go up Mount Chimney, we defeat all the grunts and then we face off against Tabitha by himself. His coffin immediately offs itself a second time on the switch in into the Rock, and Numel is no match for Bulldoze. We then face off with Maxie for the first time. Mighty Anna comes out and we put it to sleep with Flubber with Yum, but not before being roared out to Danny. We send out the Rock to take out the Mighty Anna with a couple of Bulldozes, and out comes his Camerupt. Bulldoze does big damage but is unable to take it down, and the Rock goes down to Earth Power. This death sucked the most so far.
Okay. I should have seen that coming.
But we get our revenge with Sam as Aerial Ace takes down Camerupt. Next is his Golbat. Sam does decent damage with Aerial Ace but gets confused and hits herself and takes big damage from Wing Attack. We switch to Danny, who gets confused as well, and after hitting himself once and taking damage, he pulls through the second time around and Golbat is no match for Rock Tomb. After defeating Maxie, he hands us the meteorite and leaves. On the way down Mount Chimney, we encounter Machop we name Chad Johnson. As we enter Lava Ridge Town and assess our next team member, we put Andre on the team and we pick up the TM Swords Dance. In between episodes, we decide to take a bold move and only enter Flannery's gym with 3 Pokemon: Danny, Chad Johnson, who is trained in HP and attack, and Sam. While battling the trainers, Chad Johnson evolves into Machoke and Danny learns Rock Slide, replacing Rock Tomb. We defeat the rest of the trainers and it's time for our battle with Flannery. Out first is our Slugma, and after taking some damage from Overheat and Burn, we take it out with Chad Johnson and a +1 attack Rock Tomb.
Out comes her Torkoal. We switch to Danny to tank the overheat, and we take it out with a couple of mud bombs as she wastes time setting up Sunny Day. Next is Normal, but it proves no match as a single mud bomb takes it out. We defeat Flannery, winning us our 4th badge. After exiting the gym, we are met by May, and she gives us the go goggles, and now we can enter the desert and get our Route 112 encounter. But first we put Flubber, Rose, and Annoyance back on the team. We head back up the mountain to battle the trainers. In the process, Flubber evolves into Swallow and is even tankier now and pick up Flame Charge. After defeating the rest of the trainers, we head to Route 112 and pick up the Claw Fossil and Sancher we name Poogie. We head back to Pellerberg with May to take on our father, but before that I take some time to grind up the team to par for the gym, then we head in. The trainers don't prove too hard as we work our way to our real battle with our father and gym leader, Norman. He sends out his first slacking and he uses Yawn, and I use the Truant ability delay to get our second bulk up in before we fall asleep. Chad takes a bit of damage from Retaliate as he wakes up and OHKOs it with Vital Throw. Next out is his Vigoroth, and Chad takes a Retaliate and OHKOs it. Last is his stronger slacking, and fearing a Retaliate crit, we switch into Flubber, but he instead uses Chip Away, not doing much damage. On the Truant turn, we use Yawn. Flubber takes big damage from Retaliate and uses Acid Spray to harshly drop Slacking special defense. As it falls asleep, we switch to Rose and she takes down Slacking with a couple of magical leaves, and we now have our 5th badge. After exiting the gym with our dad, we are met with Wally and his father, who gives us the HM Surf and has a heart-to-heart with Norman as we head off to Mauville with Wally. We end the episode by buying all the TMs at the market. We teach Rose Venoshock, Danny Surf, and Bulldoze, and Sam Facade.
We swim across Route 118 and run into Steven. As he's talking, Latios shows up and wants our help. We arrive on the mysterious island and find Latios guarding something. Then the superior Team Magma admin Courtney and a grunt show up trying to steal Latios' Megastone.
Just give me the stone.
Steven's Metin takes out the grunt's coughing, and Vital Throw does big damage to Courtney's camera as Metang finishes it off. After they leave, Latios wants to join the team, and I name him Guardian and put him in the PC. I don't use legendaries. Back on Route 118, we catch an Electrek we name Sparks. We defeat the rest of the trainers on Route 118 and then move on to Route 123 and realize levels are a bit different on this route.
36, eh?
We spend time picking, planting, and watering all the berries on the berry farm, and then after defeating the twins, we move on to Route 119, where we defeat all the trainers and catch a Tropius we name Riku. We run into the weather center that has been taken over by Team Magma, and after disposing of all the grunts, we face off with Tabitha once again. Danny does big damage to Camrup with Surf, but takes too much damage from Earth Power, and I send in Sam predicting another one. Sam finishes off Camrupt with an Aerial Ace. The weather people try to thank us and try to give us cast form, but I never pick it up. We cross the bridge and run into our rival once again. We take down her whole team with Stab Guts Power Facade. Facade's base power is doubled when there is a status condition. Normally it is 70, but now is 140 plus Stab is 210. And then she gives us the HM Fly. We head to Route 120 and catch a Gloom we name Prickly in honor of our fallen Zigzagoon. We defeat the Kecleon blocking our path and we defeat all the trainers we can. I train Sparks in special attack and speed off screen and then enter the gym and take down all the trainers, and then it's time for Winona. We lead off with Sparks and he easily handles the Swella as she sends out Altaria. Fury and an Earthquake, I switch into Chad Johnson as he takes the Earthquake well and he bulks up as she cotton guards. Well played. We switch to Annoyance and we toxic the Altaria and take her down with poison damage and Venoshock. She sends out Pelipper next and I switch to Flubber as she wastes a turn protecting. I put Pelipper to sleep using Yawn and switch to Sparks who takes it out with Discharge. Last is her Skarmory but is no match for Discharge and we acquire our 6th badge. We put Sam back on the team and teach her Fly. We fly back to Slateport and catch a Whalmer we name Moby. We battle the rest of the trainers on Route 120 and in the process Danny evolves into Swampert. On Route 121 we catch a Shubbit we name Sheets. We head to Mount Power where we catch a guaranteed Dusclops we name Tank. We head to the Safari Zone where we catch a Goldeen we name Queen. This would guarantee us a Courtfish in Petalburg City, who we name Mr. Krabs. We slap Mr. Krabs on the team and move on. Off screen I EV train Mr. Krabs in attack and speed, Moby in HP and special attack, and Tank in special defense and mostly defense and slightly in HP. And slap the EV light on. Tank is now hella bulky. I take time going through all the Trickster's puzzles and grinding Mr. Krabs, Moby, and Tank up on trainers. We then enter Lydikov City and face off with our rival for the last time. She sends out Swella as we switch out Moby for Tank.
Tank barely takes any damage from 2 aerial aces as he confuses Swella and we switch to Danny. It hits itself a couple times in confusion as we miss Rock Slide and it uses Double Team. It proves futile as our next Rock Slide connects and Swella goes down. Next out is her Wailord. We switch back to Tank as she uses Amnesia. We try to burn with Will-O-Wisp, but Water Veil prevents that as Tank takes a full powered Water Spout. We barely do damage with Hex as we switch to Mr. Krabs. She does another Amnesia and we do big damage with Night Slash, and the next Water Spout barely does any damage. The next Night Slash takes down Warlord. Next out is her Sceptile, so we switch to Sam as Sceptile misses Slam. Why she didn't go for a grass move still confuses me. Anyway, Sam uses Fly as Sceptile waits a turn with Detect and Fly takes it out on the following turn. Last is her Macargo. We switch to Chad Johnson who bulks up once and a couple of Rock Tombs takes out the Fire Slug. I buy some TMs from the department store, then we head to Mount Pyre to take out all the trainers inside. Then we head to the top of the mountain to battle the Magma Grunts and watch Maxie take the Red Orb. As he leaves, we have our second battle with Courtney. Camerupt and Tank trade Earth Powers, Hexes, and a confused Ray as Tank comes out on top. We then head to Slateport as Team Magma steals a submarine, and after dealing with a couple of grunts, we head back to Lydikov City and head to the Magma hideout. Working our way through the grunts, we catch an Electro we name Boomer and pick up the Master Ball. We finish the rest of the grunts, and our last battle with Courtney goes something like this. Mr. Krabs uses Razor Shell. That's all.
The sweet smell of an all-day sucker.
I spend some time grinding sparks on some trainers in the waters. We make it to Moss D City and pick up the Super Rod. We then enter the 7th gym and start working our way through the trainers with Mr. Krabs, Moby, and Tank. Finally, it's time for Tate and Liza. This fight is the whole reason Moby is on the team. He and Tank make a great pair, and I'll show you why. As Solrock starts going for Solar Beam and Lunatone sets up Light Screen, Moby protects itself from any potential damage as Tank sets up Trick Room. On the following turn, Tank does decent damage with Hex on Solrock as Moby's full-powered Water Spout proves Light Screen useless as it OHKOs both Solrock and Lunatone, winning us our 7th badge. After we leave the gym, a beam shoots up to the sky. Steven Stone just happens to live here as he talks to us about things we already know. If legendary Pokemon gets revived, planet is doomed. After that, we catch a Pelipper on Route 125, and Shoal Cave we catch a Celio we name Wally. Honestly, after this I just did some miscellaneous things, but catch a Swablu on Route 105. We head to Sea Floor Cavern to try to stop Team Magma from awakening Groudon. In the process, while battling a grunt, we lose Mr. Krabs to a Weezing. We get to the bottom of the cavern where we see Archie losing to Maxie, and now it's our turn. Out first is his Mightyena. He wastes a turn using Taunt, as Earthquake is enough to OHKO it. Next out is his Weezing. We switch to Moby and take an Explosion. Next out is his Crobat. We switch to Sparks and take a critical Acrobatics, but Static paralyzes it. Full Switch takes out Crobat and we switch to Moby. Outlast is his Camerupt. He goes for Mega Evolution as Water Pulse takes it out. After defeating Maxie, he awakens Groudon. It wakes up and immediately goes to the surface. Grunts inform Maxie it's worse than they expected and it's up to me to save the world, so I head to Satopolis City and slap Tank back on the team. I take the Magma Suit, hop on Groudon's back. Pretty dangerous if you ask me. One wrong step and it's game over. I walk up to Groudon and immediately Master Ball him. Honestly, why didn't Maxie bring this with him? Thanks, I guess. Now that the threat is forever trapped in cyberspace, it's time to face Wallace. But first, I head to Mauville City to go get our new Mauville encounter. As I wanted, I get a guaranteed Magnemite thanks to us having an Electrode. We catch it and name it Watts. We go back to Watson and he gives us Thunderbolt. Heading back to Sootopolis, we start going through all the trainers, then I go back and train up on the trainers in the ocean and face the rest of the trainers in the gym. And finally, it's time for Wallace. Out first is Love Disc. Who thought that this was a great lead for a final gym? Like, seriously. Sparks has no trouble taking it down, and out next is Whiscash. We switch to Tank as we burn and confuse him as Earthquake tickles him. We protect. He hits himself in confusion twice, taking burn damage, and then Hex is enough to finish Whiscash off. Out next is his Milotic. We tried to burn but miss as we get nailed with a couple of Hydro Pumps as we confuse it. We switch to Moby and a couple of Water Spouts can't outdamage Recover. We switch to Sparks but he gets crit and frozen by Ice Beam. We go back to Moby but we can't do any real damage. So I go to Danny on a Recover prediction. Luckily we predict correctly and Earthquake does big damage. Even after Hyper Potion and Recover, Melodic can't out-heal Earthquake and goes down. Next is Celio, but can't stand Earthquake and goes down. Last is Sea King. Earthquake does big damage, but it sets up Rain. Fearing a crit, I switch to Moby to tank it. Waterfall flinches Moby and I sacrifice Chad Johnson to switch Sam in safely. Rain stops and Sam easily finishes off Sea King and we earn our 8th and final badge and receive the HM Waterfall.
After exiting, we put Rose back on the team and we do some miscellaneous stuff and grinding. But during a battle against a Rhyhorn, we lose Sam because I wasn't paying attention. I thought I'd actually care more than I actually did. Guess you just get desensitized over time. That sucks. Well, I don't think Swallow was going to make it in the final team anyway.
Off screen I did some grinding and trained up Claude and now Armaldo in attack and speed, Wally in HP and special attack, and same for Watts, now a Magnezone, and evolved Rose into Roserade. So we head off to Victory Road having no trouble battling our way through, being a few levels higher than most everything in there, and then it's time for our final battle with Wally. He leads off with Altaria as we lead off with Watts. Fearing a possible earthquake, we Magnet Rise and get hit with Dragon Pulse instead. We eat another as a couple of Thunderbolts take it out. Out now is Delcatty and it's no match for Thunderbolt, and Roselia can't handle Flash Cannon. Now out is his Magneton and Volt Switch does huge damage as we switch to Danny and take a Flash Cannon. Earthquake finishes it off, but our defense gets halved by Screech. Last is his Gallade and we switch to Tank as it sets up Sword Stance. He goes for a second Sword Stance as we burn it. Psycho Cut does okay damage, but Hex takes out Gallade. After beating Wally, it's time to move on to the Pokemon League, the final obstacle in the game. As we prep, our final team is Danny the Swampert, Rose the Roserade, Claude the Armaldo, Tank the Dusclops, Wally the Wolverine, and Watts the Magnezone. Without looking back, we head into the Pokemon League to face the Elite Four. First up is Sydney, the Noseless Edgelord. I'm not going to waste anybody's time. Rose just ran through his whole team with Dazzling Gleam, just bedazzled the shit out of them. And with that, Discount Voldemort is gone. Next is Phoebe. Phoebe? Phoebe? I don't know. She sends out Dusclops and Rose sets up Toxic as he tries to confuse us, but the Lumberry snaps Rose out of it. We hit Venoshock for big damage as it takes its life by putting Curse on us. Bayonet is out next and we switch to Watch as it uses Psychic, barely doing any damage. Thunderbolt takes out Bayonet as she sends out Dust Noir. Thunderbolt does big damage as Fire Punch does decent damage. We use Volt Switch taking out Dust Noir, and we bring out Tank as she brings out Sableye. We burn it as it hits us with Shadow Claw. A misclick happens and take another one. She uses Foul Play as we use Hex and take out Sableye. Next is her stronger Bayonet and we switch to Danny, and for some reason she uses Spite as Earthquake Okos it. With that, Phoebe has been dealt with. Next is Glacia. She sends out Glalie and it sets up Light Screen, saving me from Okoing her entire team with Watts. A couple of Flash Cannons takes it out. Next out is her Wolverine. It does big damage with Surf, but a couple of Thunderbolts knock it out. Next is her first Frostlass, infamous for being annoying under Hail, which is exactly what it sets up. As predicted, Flash Cannon misses and Shadow Ball does big damage, forcing us to switch to Tank as he takes damage from Shadow Ball. Hex does big damage, but so does Shadow Ball as Hail wears us down. We protect to stall out Hail and use the turn to switch Rose in as Hail is set back up. Dazzling Gleam misses and Blizzard does massive damage, but on the next turn, Rose pulls through and Dazzling Gleam takes out Frostlass, but the next one comes out.
She has 2 Frostlasses?
We switch to Wally predicting Blizzard as it does negligible damage. Surf does big damage as Blizzard does nothing. After a couple of full restores, she tries to set Hail back up, but Wally isn't having it and takes out Frostlass. Last is her second Glalie as it tickles Wally with Ice Shard and Freeze Ray as he surfs it out, winning the battle. Next up is Drake. He sends out Altaria and Cotton Guards as Wally Ice Beams it down. Next out is his Flygon as it confuses Wally, but Lumberry snaps it out of it, and Ice Beam takes it out. His second Flygon comes out and burns us with Flamethrower as Ice Beam Okos it. Next out is Salamence, and it flinches us with Dragon Rush, and we are forced to switch to Tank as he takes a Crunch. He burns Salamence and takes another Crunch, and it drops Tank's defense. We switch to Rose as she takes out Salamence with Dazzling Gleam. Last is his Kingdra, and Dazzling Gleam does big damage as it uses Yawn. Drake full restores as Rose hits Venoshock for big damage as we fall asleep. Just kidding. Lumberry wakes it up. Man, Lumberries and Leopard Berries are just so based. The next Venoshock takes out Kingdra, bringing Drake down. Last is the big one. The final battle with Steven Stone. Arguably the hardest champion behind Cynthia. So far, we haven't lost anyone on our champion team. Can we keep it deathless for Steven? Well, it's time to find out. Out first is Skarmory, and Watts is a perfect mon to deal with it. Between Sturdy and Full Restore, it takes 3 Thunderbolts to take it out. Out next is Aggron. Knowing that we use Earthquake, we use Magnet Rise to avoid ground moves for a few turns. Now with its best move, a non-factor, a couple of Thunderbolts take it out as we take little damage from Stone Edge. Next out is his Claydol. Flash Cannon does half as it sets up Light Screen.
That's pretty smart.
Next, Flash Cannon puts it into full restore range but drops its special defense. Extra Sensory does little damage as we hit another on the full restore. We then set up Magnet Rise back up and Earth Power misses. A couple of Flash Cannons finally take down Claydol. Next out is his Armaldo as our last Flash Cannon takes it down. Next is his Cradilly. We Volt Switch out to Wally as it tries to confuse us, but once again, Lumberry. Ice Beam takes it out on the next turn. Last and certainly not least is his Metagross, a mon that's ended many Nuzlocks. Even with its new weaknesses to Dark and Ghosts, it should not be underestimated, especially in its Mega form. Like Cynthia's Garchomp, if you don't find a way to deal with this thing, it'll steamroll your team. As he sends it out, he immediately Mega Evolves it. Knowing he'll use Giga Impact after Protect, I stay in and take major damage to get a couple of Surfs off on the recharge turn and doing great damage. Predicting another Giga Impact, I switch to Tank, and after taking decent damage from Meteor Mash, Tank takes it out with Hex, winning us the run. Credits roll. Oh yeah, we face our rival post-credits, but it's nothing worth mentioning. As you can see, we had no problem. This concludes my first Harcore Nuzlocke. All in all, I had a great time, and it was fun testing my knowledge and skill. Did I feel I did well? Yeah, well, I believe I performed my best late game. 7 deaths on an easier game is not great to me, but then again, I've always been hard on myself and have always had an extremely competitive ambition. How do you feel I did? Let me know in the comments. Honestly, this made me appreciate Pokemon I would never really think about, such as Dustox. If you train it right, it can be a bulky support mon early on, and Wailord with its massive HP being able to take hits while dishing out huge damage. My personal favorite though was Tank the Dusclops. I knew it was bulky, and with Eviolite, this thing is nigh unkillable if you play smart. Truly the MVP for the Elite Four has to go to Watts, especially after taking down 2/3 of Steven's team itself. I'm definitely going to do more, and as you can tell, I've already done a few since I did this series. I'll leave a link to the one I'm currently doing in the description. Also want to give a massive shout out to the man behind the editing of this video, Baker Bulbasaur. I can't stress enough how much I appreciate the help, and without him, this video may have never happened. Again, thank you so much, and if you want to check out his channel, I'll leave it in the description below. He's an awesome dude. He's currently doing a solo link with another content creator named Tommy Lou, another man you should check out. His link will be in the description. But thank you all so much for watching. If you can, please leave a like and consider subscribing. Let me know if you would like more of these. And if you could, please share this as much as you can. I would love as much feedback as I can get, because I'm always looking to improve. And on that note, I will see you all in the next one. See ya.